looking very suave today, Sachin. And I asked you, where have you been? And then I was like, hold on, save it for when we're rolling. So
Yeah.
where have you been today, Sachin?
Cool. So earlier today, I was asked to be a guest on this program called The Suited Chef.
Right.
I didn't have to wear a suit, but I
Yeah.
thought, okay, suited chef,
Yeah.
suited sous chef might go nicely together.
Right.
So it's a Facebook Live cooking show where the guy, his name's Zach, he has guests on. He's run businesses. He's run restaurants. He does lecturing at a business course university. He's doing consulting for some companies as well. So we know a mutual friend who I had on my podcast and had a great time. He cooked some amazing food, and my standard of food admiration is very high because my mama is a real good cook, and my grandfather opened up his own restaurant, and I'm Punjabi, like North Indian. Our whole upbringing is centered around food. So like I had high expectations I was very skeptical about whether or not the food was going to be good.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, and I don't eat mushroom, and he made mushrooms, and I didn't want to be rude, and I ate it, and it was really good. So it turned out really good.
Cool. So how did that opportunity come about? So you met this guy through social media. You had him on your podcast?
Yeah, no. So we know a mutual friend. So our mutual friend films his show for him, and I had him on my show, and he has his own podcast as well.
Yeah.
So he used to work for London Real. The podcast show?
Oh, what's the guy?
Dre.
Yeah, that was him.
The most Andrea Domenicini.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not butchering it.
Yeah.
He's a really, really his way of thinking is great, and the depth of conversation we had. So we spoke a bit about universal basic income, problems in society, 48 laws of power. Those kinds of topics I find are really, you can go into a lot of depth, but some people have a lot of reservations, especially when it comes to things like universal basic income.
Yeah.
People think, oh, it will make you lazy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We had a grounded discussion to an extent. Like, I don't really know much about it, but I'm definitely on board with exploring that concept, because I think if you were to take care of people's basic needs, like we were saying that time, you'd get rid of a lot of dysfunction.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great conversation.
All right. You dive straight in. You're there. You're ready to go. London Real is actually my online social document everything kind of. Brian Rose is my god in that sense. Like he's kind of whole philosophy around getting content out there, similar to like Gary Vee, but really good quality content. They've helped me with so much stuff. London Real, they're really great. So I want you to kind of tell me a bit more about what you're about and what you stand for before we go into what you're doing with social media. Before we go into Animas. I know you work really hard. I see you on my screen every day.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about why you're doing it, and we'll move on to the other stuff in a bit.
Okay, so I guess the best place to start is I have several massive chips on my shoulder.
Okay.
And I got a huge ego problem, which I'm trying to keep in check every single day. So I used to back in 2016 at the end of the year. I went through this massive transformation where I was feeling sorry for myself. I was always talking down to myself. I was taking everyone else's opinion so seriously, and people have been trying to take me out of the game of life since I was 5. So I allowed all of that baggage to just weigh me down, and I wasn't really doing much about it. The only things I was doing was, pity party me. Let's all throw our stuff in the air and say, oh, isn't life bad? And that led me down some roads that, they say if you don't learn from the past, it's destined to repeat itself. So my past mistakes and past baggages from other people were repeating itself until I got to the point where I was I never got diagnosed for stuff because I never believed in the current system of healthcare. And every time I spoke to someone about what I was going through, they would throw long words at me and I would get scared. So I never got diagnosed with anything, but I had some serious mental health challenges. And my brother saw that I was basically I was playing video games all the time. And the only good thing I was doing was going to the gym, but I was trying to get as big as possible because I had so many insecurities about who I was. So working through that took me on a really strange road. So my brother introduced me to this concept of what do you want to do for the rest of your time here, because you're young now, you can still turn it around.
Yeah.
And I wasn't interested. I was playing PlayStation, it just did nothing, and drinking and smoking and spending time with people who were doing the same thing. So it came to the point where he said to me, I want you to watch this video. His friend had made the video. He was about to start going into this space. In the video, it said, you got no value if you're sitting there consuming all the time. And that it stuck on my ego, because I was like, hold on a minute, I want to have value. I want to have stuff. I want to be someone. And I felt like that my whole life. I've always felt like I was destined for more. And I know a lot of us maybe have that feeling. But I was never doing anything about it. And I was, wasting a lot of my time. All of my teachers told me he's got great potential, but he's wasting it. He starts something, never finishes it. And, I finished my degree in 2014. Didn't feel any sense of accomplishment because I didn't care about it. And I finished my dissertation in 3 days, jacked up on Red Bull and cannabis. And it was just terrible. And the lecturer said to me, this looks like someone just threw it together in 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, I did. Those things have played a pivotal role in me wanting to turn it around. Because I looked at all of the past stuff. I was like, I'm not proud of any of that. So my brother introduced me to the concept of create rather than consume. And it doesn't have to be 100-0. You can still consume, but create something. And from that creation, you will create value for yourself. And eventually, if your skill level is high enough, someone will pay you for that value. And then no one can replace you. You're not a cog in the machine that you quickly throw you out, then you get replaced. So that was in the beginning, that was a big driver. Now, I believe that's coming from a place of ego. I want to be significant. That took me on this journey of creativity. So it started with music. I still produce to this day. I love drum and bass music. I like anything with a funky. I love anything with a funky bass line, to be honest. So I've always loved music, and that was how it started for me. I did it. I'm a very extreme person, as you know. I do something with all of my energy, and I think that's because of that. What do they call it? Attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Yeah. I don't know. I don't believe in that. That's a real thing, but apparently that's what I have. So I put all of my focus into something, and I just go all in. And in the space of, I think it was 3 months, I made 400 beats, and I was just messing around most of the time, but my skill level increased dramatically. Yeah. And I started posting a bit of my music and people liked it. I was like, oh wow, this is a great feeling. People resonate with this. Then I started writing poems, and I didn't think about it when I was doing it. I was just writing little bits here and there, writing with my hands. And I learned this concept of when I looked through the body of work that I'd created, whether it was the music or the poems, I looked at it and I said, what does this say about the person who's created it? And therefore, I can get a different look at myself. So I saw in the poems, it was all about I was very angry about stuff. And in the music, some of it was and some of it was very it's a horror movie sort of vibe. And I was like, that's really weird, because I've never expressed that. I've never expressed the anger, the frustration, the whatever it was. And it was showing me this stuff has to find a way out. Otherwise, it's going to sit in here and it's going to ruin you. And that's what it was doing for a long time.
You'll need to express.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's because for the longest time, I was told, no, the art is bad. Don't draw anything. I like drawing optical illusions and stuff, just for fun. No, nothing serious behind it. And that was shut down. Then the poem stuff when I was young.
Who said art was bad?
So many people have told me in my life. I'm from the Punjabi community.
Right.
Our culture is okay, look, disclaimer, anyone who's watching who's of that cultural background, it's not a diss against them.
Or the broadest generalization.
Yeah, it's not, I don't mean it to be every one of them is bad. I'm just saying from my cultural experience, it was really everyone was telling me, art and music and the arts are for idiots. You need to get a job in the city, wear a suit, get married, have children, buy a car, get a promotion, then die. And I was like, oh, okay. When I resigned at the age of 9, when I resigned all of my stuff to that's when my life started going downhill.
Really?
Now, at the age of 9, when I was 4 years old, I was so in tune with my purpose. I was creating, I was asking my dad about Pythagoras. I was really I was asking question after question. Now, I do podcasts and stuff, I ask questions, but back then, the thirst for knowledge was insatiable. I couldn't get enough. And everyone was like, whoa, what's going on? So when I repressed it, that's when bad stuff started happening. And, you attract people of a similar nature to you. So when I started expressing myself, I started feeling a bit better about myself. And I started looking at myself in a different way. Like, I'm not worthless. I can make stuff. And not everyone can do that. And I'm not saying that just me specifically. I'm saying everyone is good at making something. Whether you're good at making conversation or a soup, juice, whatever. We're all good at stuff. So I think when I realized that I wasn't just useless, that's when the game really changed for me. It's like, when the chessboard, you're setting everything up and someone comes, slaps it over and you're like, no, you're not playing chess anymore. You go and recite lines out of this book. Yeah. Instead, I would like put the books down, just put the chessboard back together. And when I started playing again, my the healing journey started for me. So I've got a lot of they call it complex trauma. I don't believe in these terms, so I don't know what they mean. Yeah. But yeah, I did a journey with therapy and stuff, and I got into this habit of talking down to people because I thought I was more intelligent than them. And this was 2014, 15 times. And then in the beginning of 2015, I had a drug experience, which just made me realize I can actually be happy and talk about stuff and it doesn't have to stay within. Yeah. That changed my whole life. I can definitely say that, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have got out of the depression, which is I do this because, again, I don't believe in that term.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you're saying you had a substance experience, drug experience that was beneficial. Right, okay.
I don't recommend it. I always say this in all the videos and stuff. I don't recommend it for anyone. I don't, because it's irresponsible of me to do that. Yeah. But this was, I was young. I was 22, and I was in a bad place. I've been trying to kill myself with alcohol and all this stuff because I was not expressing that thing that's within. And when you repress emotions, it has to work its way out of you. It's got to find a way out. And some of us, we all got different ways of dealing with it.
It sounds like you've had, you're 25, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of experience, and it seems like you're very reflective, and you seem to have a very good understanding of yourself. So in doing so, do you think that's why you were able to have the empathy to become a life coach? Or is that why you decided to become a life coach?
All right, so this is strange, yeah. When I was going through that journey of 9 to 22, how many years is that? 13, right? Yeah. God, my maths is terrible. Yeah. That 13-year period was me living my life without thinking about anything. So before I speak, I don't think. Kind of same now, but in a different way. I didn't think before I act. I don't think after I act, and no consequences, nothing. I don't care about anything. I'm just going. And when you live like that, you said it the best, the hedonistic treadmill. I love that saying, and I'm going to steal that. So
take it. I stole it from someone else.
Oh, nice. Someone said we're just constantly retweeting people, but we've forgotten who it was from.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that,
I find myself thinking a lot with Joe Rogan. He puts out so much content and so many guests. Yeah. I say it like I come up with the philosophy around it. Yeah. And it becomes your truth.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I do that a lot. But if something's true to you, if something comes up, you want to share, right? Naturally.
Especially when you resonate with something so much and it speaks to you on a deep level. Yeah. You feel like, oh, this is my forgotten truth or something like that. When it comes to coaching, so this is another weird story. I don't get a chance to talk about this stuff, so it's really fun that I get to do it with you. So my mom and me used to butt heads all the time, and I was a very ignorant kid, and I thought I knew better than everyone, but I didn't. And me and her used to clash all the time. We used to hate each other, not in a sinister way, but it's just, I can't talk to you, you can't talk to me, we're not having this conversation. In 2015, she noticed that I was making some big changes and I was a lot more quiet. I got a big mouth. I put out a lot of content. So I used to talk a lot of rubbish. And by rubbish, I mean condescending, ignorant, pretentious, just being in general not a nice person. Enough. Right. And, at that time, my mom was like, okay, something's going on here. And we just started talking about stuff. And I said to her, look, I've worked through some of my stuff. I've looked up philosophies. I've looked at religion, watched a lot of videos, read some psychology. I've taken free courses in all of these things in the space of a year. So at the end of 2015, me and my mom started talking regularly. And people started saying to her, what have you done differently? Because you look different and you're acting differently. And she was like, I've just been spending time with my son. And they were like, that's a bit strange. So over like the period of a year, she went from being in a bad mental place from a variety of different reasons to climbing mountains and running marathons and stuff like that. Now, I can't take responsibility and say, yeah, that was because of me. The change has happened in that person. And that's what made me realize, oh, I like that feeling of witnessing the change in you because you spent time with me. And I grew as well because now I've got a relationship with my mom. And that's really cool. And before we didn't have that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I noticed it with my mum as well. When you start acting a bit different, showing a bit of emotion, it's okay for them to show emotion. And it's you start developing the relationship of coming from a parent and a kid to becoming two adults connecting. And it's nice when your parents have that realization that actually you're an adult now, rather than just being a kid. Have you done this? Have you done that? And no child, whatever age you are, your parents' son or daughter wants to be spoken like that. And parents have that habit of continue to treat you like that. You could be however age.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So when did you qualify for Animas?
Finished the course in June.
Yeah.
I haven't submitted my stuff yet.
Oh no.
So
Law's going to be on your case.
Yeah, she has been. Sorry, Laura, for watching. My thing with the okay, so this was how it went down. So I think I started in January or February, and then from then until June, they say I think it's like 40 hours you need for practice. I did 150 hours in 3 months, and I burnt out. I'll be honest with you. February, March, April. And then May, I was like, I'm taking a big break.
Why did you do that?
I'm all or nothing.
You're
man.
all or nothing.
You literally.
It's true.
And the people were asking me, like, how'd you get so many hours racked up? So that was from my blog. At that time, people were following me, and I was just striking up conversation with them. Like, listen, look, you like what I'm posting. I'm trying to do this life coaching qualification so I can get better.
Smart.
Can you be my practice client?
Yeah.
And everyone was up for it. I met strippers, people who were going to kill themselves, people who tried, people who'd molested kids. People with depression, dementia, anxiety, schizophrenia, and a few others. I can't remember. One guy tried to kill his sister, I think. And it was a really interesting time for me because I approached all of these people like, I can't judge. And the child molesting case, look, I said to the guy, I'm not doing this with you because, I got past traumas as well. And I don't condone this behavior.
Yeah.
You need to go and get help. I referred him to one of my friends.
Right.
So that was that one that I just didn't want to have anything to do with.
How was that like your first experience of coaching, months into it, and you're coaching all these people because of your network? And we'll come on to how you built that network in a second, but wow,
I believe in the law of attraction. So
Right.
a lot of us are familiar with this, but I feel like my vibration was shifting so much up and down in that time because when you awaken, when you lift that veil, and we can go into that whatever later on, but when you start to become aware of things, you're going to have low lows and high highs. It's no coincidence that on the high days, I was having conversations with people who were very aligned with me in that like vibration, like, oh yeah, I'm in a good place, thank you, whatever. Then on the low days, I was meeting the people who were like, I'm going to try and kill my mom because she said this to me. And I was like, oh my God. And, at that time, I was never worried, like, why are these people contacting me? I've always looked at it like, that's a reflection of me. So anything I say to you, it also applies to me. Because I have those, I have the desire for revenge, retribution, and all that stuff. And it's coming from a place of resentment. It's down here, and we need to find a way for it to, like, come out.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I approached it.
Yes, I find that like when you're having a bad day, you're really having a bad day. I mean, you're having a good day, having a really good day, and I find like I'm finding I'm more in control through like the self-awareness. So like if I'm having a bad day, I've got certain things that I can use to break the cycle of that bad day. Whether it just be go for a job. Tony Robbins says it, change your state. And if you change your state, then you're on this upward curve. You've done something good for yourself. Yeah. So therefore, whatever you believe is trying to repay you back for your efforts.
100%. I believe I say this thing like future me has always got my back, and I need to do something that future me is going to thank me for,
Right.
just to keep that relationship going.
yeah.
And future me is a cool guy, so I want to keep him sweet.
So you've got a blog that you've been running for over a year now.
Since the end of 2016.
Okay.
So
For a while.
Bit over coming up to not coming up to 2 years. Yeah, a bit over a year.
Oh, okay, cool. So I know you've got over 10,000 subscribers, and I know there'd be loads of coaches out there dying to know how you done it, and what your kind of recommendations are to kind of getting a blog to that kind of level, and what comes of it.
Okay, so disclaimer first. I don't recommend anyone does the way I did it.
Right. Okay.
Because just what worked for me.
Yeah.
So November 2016, I started getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every single day and started doing what I call a self-care routine. Went for a walk around the block while it was still dark, and I would put my headphones in. And you know how the Apple headphone has a little mic there?
Yeah.
I would set an audio recording on, and I would talk out loud, and I would record everything I was saying. Sometimes I wouldn't listen to it, sometimes I would. And I would just speak about everything I'm thinking about. So I feel like I've expressed myself. That's me taking care of whatever's going on in here. I'm allowing it to be expressed, so I don't feel like I'm not being hurt. When I come back, sometimes I would run after it. Sometimes I would just like go and have a shower or whatever. Then I would sit with myself for a bit to say some affirmations, maybe watch some motivational videos or whatever. And then, so it started off as just like me documenting my journey. Like, okay, today I'm looking at, my biggest one back then was like, when you go through the darkness, that's how you can truly appreciate the light. And I always use the analogy of a tunnel. When you're in it, you're a bit scared and you can't really see the light. It's like a pinhole right at the end. You're not really seeing it and you're like, oh my God. When you get closer to the end, you're like, oh, wow, like, things are brightening up. And when you get onto the other side, you're like, wow, okay, cool. Like, that's behind me. Now I can appreciate. So it was stuff like that I was sharing, which is very different to what I'm sharing now. So that bit was very like much about me. That the beginning part was very much like a reflective kind of journal for me. And then I decided, okay, yeah, let's take this more seriously. I've helped my mom, and I've worked on myself a lot. I'm gonna think about building a coaching business. That's when I started watching Gary and all these other entrepreneurs. And
Gary B and Gary
V, yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Nick, sorry, just jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
Nick and I was having a conversation today. We got some new guys that have just started. And he was like, yeah, Gary this and Gary V. And when you're in that world, it's like, how can you not go? Like he's like a celebrity and God for Nick. Sorry, carry on.
So I definitely took a lot from Gary. His main thing that I took was start taking action, stop complaining. There you go. So I started implementing that. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to start looking at coaching courses, and I'm going to look at people who are already coaches. So a friend of my mom's said, oh, someone for Sachin to talk to who's already doing it, he's becoming successful and he's building a name for himself. Hey, it'd be a good thing to talk. Oh yeah, that's great. Okay, we added each other on Facebook. So before I start the story, I just want to say, like, I don't say people's names when I say like bad stuff about them, because I don't believe in that. But so yeah, I met this guy, and he'd actually trained with Animas as well. And we started off the conversation, and at this time I was recording literally every conversation I was having with anyone else on my phone, just with an audio note. So we talked on Skype, and he said something, I can't remember what it was, something to the effect of, I only leave when, oh no, you know what, that might incriminate someone, I'm not gonna say it. But anyway, he said something that I just kind of found a bit funny. And I'm a jovial character, me, and I like to laugh, like to crack a bit of joke. I think when I laughed, he took it very like seriously, as like I'm laughing at you kind of thing.
Right.
That's definitely not my intention. So then the conversation started going south, and then he started being extremely childish and calling me names and like trying to aggravate me. And I was just gobsmacked, bro. I'll be honest with you, and I just could not believe what I was hearing, and it upset me very deeply inside to know that just the ethos that this person carries is very egoic, and I'm trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to be the next whatever the person's name is, whoever he was looking up to, putting on events, and kept pounding me with messages on Facebook, and doing just putting out a lot of content that wasn't really there was no substance in it. And I saw people were paying attention to it, and it aggravated the hell out of me, man. I got angry, man. Anyway, so I got very peeved, as they like to say. And I looked at myself and I said, okay, that's a reflection of where I could be going. Because at that time, I was looking at like, I need to make money from this so I can leave behind all this rubbish. That's not the right intention for me to carry. Even now, like, I don't think money is at the root of everything, because I've had it before. It doesn't really do much for me. I'm a simple dude. Like, I might look flash now. I've had this suit for 6 years, I think. Something like that.
Steady shape.
Fits
well.
So like, I look at it like, okay, that's a reflection of where I could go in the future. Mm-hmm. I need to check myself. Why do I want this? Why does this person want this? Mm-hmm. And I saw it, like, I followed his journey for a little while, and I allowed him to think that I was just, oh yeah, it's all good, whatever. Then came the point where I was like, okay, so I decided that I'm going to do the course, work on my skill level, and actually provide value, rather than whatever the hell that is. I still don't know what that is. Just they call it rah bro, motivation or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what that is. Like, when I was around, like, at that time, I was very unsure of myself, and I really strongly believe in this concept of you attract what you are, right? Yeah. It's not mine. It's generally everyone who knows law of attraction, they know it. So I started looking within and saying, I don't want to be like that person. I want to do it with the right intention. So everything that I was producing up until that point was just about me. Now, my friend used to say, when you have a win, turn it from a me to a we, and start spreading. Like, it will catch fire when you share for the intention.
And what do you think that does for you when you do that?
When I turn something from a me to a we, I feel like I'm doing something good for others, which is a nice thing. But there's another concept that I believe in. It's like, it's not lonely at the top if you help someone else get there. And I actively believe in this other thing, which is like, we attract what we are is basically at the core of everything that I try and practice. But when I put out a good vibe, it's not just the other people that are consuming it. When I have a shit day sometimes, when I have a bad day sometimes, I will watch my videos. I watch my own videos in the morning, and I'll say the words with it when I remember what I've said. I'll listen to my own podcast. I used to watch everyone else's stuff. Now I've brought it back to me, and I'm thinking, okay, I could have said this a bit better. I didn't touch on this part of that. And the questions I'm getting, the comments that people are sending me, and I'll come back to like how other people can do it in a second. But basically, at the core of everything, there's two things that are driving me. One, I don't want anyone to go through the BS that I went through. And we can call BS belief systems if you want. I don't want that for anyone, because it's horrible, man. To look down at yourself and think that you got nothing to live for. Yeah. It's not fun. And, at the time, you can use drink, you can use sex, you can use gambling, drugs. I've done it all. Well, some, probably not all.
Most.
Yeah, done a lot. And I've seen a lot of the world at a young age as well. I've been a part of an extremely dysfunctional and toxic situation that lasted nearly 5 years. And I said it before, people have been trying to take me out since I was 5 years old. And I don't want anyone who has already had that to go down the route that I went down, because it's a downward spiral. So that's number one. Number two, I don't want these charlatans out here to be getting like paid for what they do, because it's BS. So what I'm trying to do, as Gary says, build the biggest building in town without trying to tear everyone else's down. That's why I don't say their names. I don't incriminate anyone. Even the people who've done horrible things, I don't say anything. Because when you feed it, they grow. Their significance grows. We need to forget them and focus on what we're creating right now. That was long-winded. The stuff that can help others. So, okay, we're looking at how to create blogs and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just before you move on, we move back to blogs and stuff like that. We'll go into that in a second. So you're putting out all this content, and you're attracting all these people. You're getting people coming to your channel. We haven't really mentioned YouTube too much, but your blog. They're asking for advice. You're attracting people to go on these cooking shows and stuff like that, and you're meeting different people. How does that make you feel? And where does this all go in the future? Where do you think it's going to take you? Is it like you're building, I guess, unintentionally you're building a community for yourself, aren't you?
I call it my positive vibe tribe.
Right.
And I feel like what it's doing for me, it makes me cry sometimes, but I'm a very emotional person. I know it doesn't look like I show it a lot. I'm a quirky guy, but you know, when I'm with myself, I got a beautiful relationship with myself, and I'll take time out of my day to reflect, and I cry about it because, like, not in a bad way, like, oh my God. It's very emotional for me because I've been a bum for so long in my own, and I've been a degenerate in my own terms. I say it because I want to remind myself that's what you can do when you don't have purpose. You sit on the couch, you get the weed out, you get the alcohol. Let's all have some fun. Bit the fake friends around you. Let's get the bad relationships. Oh, you're cheating. Oh, it's all good. Don't worry. I got PlayStation. That can happen, and that could happen today, right now, if I forget why I'm doing this. So the main thing for me is, one, it makes me reflect, and two, it makes me look at myself in a positive way, because I'm not a bum anymore. I don't, and even if someone calls me, I'm all good, man. I can just laugh it off. Where it's going, look, this is my positive vibe tribe. It's not mine. I just say that because like this is what I have created. If you want, everyone who's joining the journey, liking, sharing, watching, whatever, even if they're watching from the sidelines, they're helping me create it. So it's our community. Like, you're part of it as well, man. You've helped me out a lot. That's helped me with what I'm doing. So I feel like everyone who is around what I'm doing, regardless of whether they're actively involved or not, they're going to be affected. Whether, you know, I got haters, if you want to call it that. Call it HAB, but let's not get into that. I got haters who are watching me, and the people who I've removed from my life and stuff. Even though it's not coming from a genuine place, that's helping me grow. Right. That's helping me reach more.
Okay, so for anyone watching this right now or listening, I want to dig into what it takes to put out so much content, and how you go about logistics of building these channels. Because I've seen how quick your YouTube channel's growing, and I'm learning myself around kind of the algorithms, what YouTube wants, and how to make an engaging thumbnail to stand out. So do you want to go off on that?
Oh man, okay. So yeah, disclaimer at the beginning of it all is like, this is what's worked for me. I do not recommend anyone try it fresh out of the gate. Before I posted my first YouTube video, I'd made 300 videos. Right. That's not like, I wouldn't recommend anyone do it. It drove me insane. Right. I made the first one. I showed my brother. He goes, "You look like, you know, one of them hostage videos, like they're giving the sheet of paper to you. Please give me the ransom." That's how I looked. No smile, no jokes, no nothing. It was just terrible. And he goes, "If you want to post that, you can post it, but it's terrible." So I was like, let's take a step back. Let's evaluate. I have the mindset of improve the skill level. So we're looking at how to build the channel. Let's look at blogs first. What makes someone want to read a blog post? There's a billion other pieces of content out there. Why am I going to waste my time with yours if it's not providing the one key thing, value? Can be in the form of entertainment, education, information, or just distraction, right? Those things are valuable. We all need escapism. I read Game of Thrones blogs if anyone's interested. So I think, at the core of it, have you got something worthy of note to say? It doesn't mean you're coming up with fresh stuff, because where does fresh ideas come from? Right. It could be you reflecting on your own experience and saying, look, I went through this is what happened, and now I came out of it this way, and I look at it this way. That's great. If you're doing it with the intention of, I want followers, no, it's not going to work. Yep. And I'm going to say that because I don't believe in that. When it comes to you being consistent with it, this is how I think everyone should start if they want to get into this now. It's not too late to like build this thing up. These things aren't going anywhere. YouTube's not going anywhere. Facebook's not going anywhere. Instagram doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And Medium and platforms like that, it's amazing. You can meet really cool people and you can express yourself, and others, have great conversations. So let's calm down, right? It's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not. So we need to check ourselves and say there's no rush. Now we want to look at where's my skills, what's my skills strong, where's my skill set? What am I good at? What are my strengths? And play to the strengths. I like writing anyway, so I do it. But I know, for example, I'm not the best drawer. So I don't paint. I used to love it when I was young, but I know that's not where my strongest skill is. So acknowledge where your skills are and strengthen the hell out of them. And by that, I mean put in the hours. Robert Greene talks about this in his book Mastery. You put 10,000 hours into something, you're going to get significantly better. When I started doing jiu-jitsu, terrible. Getting, tap every 3 seconds. Now it's like 15, 20, 30, and it builds. When I started doing the blog, I didn't even want to do it. I was doing it because I wanted to build something and I didn't even know what it was. That's not good enough reason. So if you want to be consistent, your why has to be strong enough. Everyone knows that the thing about what's your why. Yeah. My why in the beginning was not good enough. That's why my content was crap. And I'll be honest with you, it was. It was just me talking into the void. Like, you know how they say shouting into the void or whatever. And no wonder no one was paying attention because it was all about me. I wasn't caring about what the value is for someone else. And it was a bit of a ramble. And it made me feel a bit better. So that's why I was doing it. So I would recommend for anyone getting started, for 30 days, write 300 words every day. You don't have to post it. There's no pressure. You can if you want. I wouldn't recommend it because then you feel that, oh my God, I have to keep up. Or I got this like and now we're going to come on to that in a second. The first thing, build up the practice. So if you want to be a blogger, what do bloggers do? They write and they post pretty much daily. Or, if you want to be relevant like that and grow this thing fast, maybe short pieces of content is your thing. This is the next thing. Find out what your cadence is. Maybe you do it every day like me. Maybe you do it 3 times a day. Maybe you do it once a week. You need to figure out what's best for you. And I only say that because in the beginning, I thought I can do this once a week. But is that going to get me the results that I want? Which is, again, it ties into your why. My why, after I figured out that I liked writing, was I want to express myself every day. So it feels good for me to do it. Let's go. And I built up like 2 weeks worth of blog posts. And then I'm that kind of person where it's like, if I'm not accountable for something, I'm not going to do it. Whatever, man. Oh yeah, I didn't post it. Okay, cool, whatever. So I just said, okay, for the next year, and I don't recommend this for anyone, for the next year, I'm going to post once a day, every single day, without fail. And I missed, unintentionally, I probably missed 1 day. Intentionally, sorry?
Loser. 1 day. You missed 1 day of blogging, Sachin. That's terrible.
Yeah, I know, man. I hate myself now. I've missed 1 day unintentionally, and I took out a big chunk of time at the end of 2017 when it was coming up to about a year that I'd been doing it. Took out a big chunk of time, about a month or 2, maybe even 3, to reevaluate where I was going with it. But I'd done pretty much a year and I was happy with myself. So I guess the main thing is when you're getting started, figure out yourself, figure out what works for you. Then when it actually comes to growing the following, this is a big thing. You want to make sure your content is valuable. And you don't want to pay attention to what gets likes. What does a like even mean? I did this on my phone. That doesn't take a lot of effort. If someone comments and said, this blog post changed my life, and then someone else comments and said, this is a load of rubbish, well, how do you weigh that up? Yeah, it's got to be in here. This is where mindset comes into it. If you're doing it with pure intention, you don't care about numbers, views, subscribe. It doesn't mean anything. And it doesn't. I'll be straight up with you right now. It doesn't mean anything unless you allow it to govern what you're doing. And that's when you get into dangerous territory.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's lots of people, just to backtrack a little bit, I think you was kind of talking about finding your expression, whether it's posting a video or drawing or writing a blog. I see so many people that are doing the whole mobile updates and that probably shouldn't be doing it. There's no such thing as shouldn't be doing it, but more so, I can see that's not your strength, or there's definitely work to be done. But because they're just following the conventional way of interacting with prospects or clients or their audience, whatever you want to call it, they're following a formula. Yeah. So what you're saying is just find what's good for you.
I'm saying take the formula and throw it out the window and leave it in the garden. Like just let it chill. Yeah. You need to create your own formula, and you can do that by looking at everyone else who's doing it and taking what you like. I talk about religion in this way. I don't know if you watched the Instagram live the other day. I'm going up to the buffet. There's Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, all this stuff. I'm taking a bit of each on my plate and I'll taste it and I'll say, I'll go back for a bit more of that. Oh, I don't like that. I'll leave it that there. Yeah. So I feel like that's what we need to do when it comes to finding how you like to express yourself. And there's loads of mediums that we can do it now. So there's really no excuse.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think what's most admirable about your content, Sachin, is you go for it. You go for them hard hitting topics like the no bullshit kind of stuff. You kind of skirt through the other stuff, and you're so direct. What would you say about people that want you to take a similar path to you with the YouTube and the blogging? How to tap into people that they can either jump on their audience, use it for leverage, use it for growth and knowledge and stuff like that. What would you say to someone who's trying to land those high profile interviews? Because you've got a few of them.
I'll just use one word: reciprocity. I don't like people, this is just personal for me, but I don't like people touching me. Yeah. If you come up to me with your hand out, I'm not going to let you touch me, bro. I don't get down like that.
Right.
So when you come up to someone with your hand out expecting something, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't appreciate that. Neither do they. Right. So my thing was, I'm going to send everyone an email that they have inspired me. JP Sears, cool guy. I bought the audiobook, laughed my head off. Oh my God, I loved that audiobook. It was hilarious.
Do you want to explain who JP Sears is?
He makes, he calls it stand-up spirituality or stand-up authenticity, and he's done a few TED Talks. His YouTube channel is great. Like, he's got some really funny videos.
Ultra spiritual, isn't it?
That's it, ultra spiritual life. So he, in his book was called 12 and a half Steps to Becoming Ultra Spiritual. Yeah. Just to generally, you can tell he's got a lot of knowledge, but the way he's conveyed it, again, talking about your expression, he's found his thing. He's found how he likes to express himself. And, being authentic like that, I feel like embodying your authenticity is how you get into these people's circles. Yeah. And it requires you to set your ego to the side and set your entitlement to the side and all this other stuff that you're bringing with you, and not open your hand out and say, give me. It's, hey, this is what I'm doing. I really respect and love what you're doing. Keep the email brief, because, look, we're all bombarded by emails every day. The last thing you want is a massive wall of text. Even if it's something beautiful, I don't want to read that. And I get very impatient, and I'm not a strong reader anyway. So I looked at 3 lines max for my emails. Right. 1 link. 1. No one's checking out 7 links. No one's got time. Yeah. Keep it brief. The next thing is you attract what you are. If you're the opposite of that dude and you're just like, oh, I can use him for leverage, I can smell it a mile off now. I know I can tell over time when someone's doing that, and I don't like it. None of my friends like it. Entrepreneurs don't like it, because we're used to, oh my God, I just said we're. Because people are used to it. I don't want to group myself with people. People are used to being bombarded every day with asks, with requests. So I think the key to getting these people into your network, have a body of work. Whether it's 1 billion clients you've worked with, hundreds of YouTube videos, blog posts, an audience, whatever it is, have something worthy of note to show them. And say, I'm not just any Joe Schmo down the road trying to make a name for himself off you. I'm actually out here doing my thing, and it would be amazing if we could cross-pollinate. But JP Sears even said to me himself, I don't post collaborations that I've done. I don't talk about it on my channel unless he's done one with Aubrey Marcus. They must have done some business together. That's got nothing to do with me. Yeah. So what I said was, all right, cool. That's still fine. I'm not looking for quick jump in followers. Do you know what comes from that? In YouTube, let's say, for example, if someone's got 1 million followers, they shout you out once. Their followers might be from beauty and makeup. Your content's about personal growth. Yeah. Who is gonna, one person might stay out of the 1,000 that followed you, and your channel's gonna go back, bang. There's no another concept, longevity. Why are you doing it? If there's a good reason, you're gonna stick to it regardless, and you don't care. Oh, you didn't repost me, cool. You wanna come on next time, 3 months from now, whenever it is. Still got that relationship with him, and we had a good laugh together. And there was another one of my idols I spoke with, Elliot Hulse. Man, I cried so much after that interview as well, because it was a huge, huge moment for me, because when I was younger, he really helped me. I haven't posted him.
Is he the Yo Elliott guy?
Yeah.
Oh, the fitness guy.
Strength Camp.
Wow.
And he said something really impactful to me, and I'm going to try to hold it down. Yeah. But I said to him, look, man, you were there for me in a real dark time. And he goes, look, and I said to him, how can I repay you? He goes, don't. You are now the light for others. And oh man, you know, I said to her, I need to go. And I really it really meant a lot to me. And then another one of my idols, her name's Jenna Moresi. She runs a writing channel on YouTube. Without her, I wouldn't start a blog. I wouldn't, straight up. Like I watched a few of her videos. She was like, why aren't you writing? And I had to ask myself that. So I think the big question is why reciprocity and longevity.
Now, this video is going to go out to like a coaching audience, and there might be people thinking, all right, this young guy, he's on YouTube and he's doing this, he's making thumbnails and he's writing blogs and he's here and here and here and here. What would you say to someone who's maybe a few years older than us that wants to get into blogging, that wants to express, that wants to be on social media, that feels a bit intimidated by it all? What would you say to someone how to get started?
All right, so age doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know about anyone else. I just your age is how old you feel. I feel like I'm 800 most of the time, and 800 might sound old to other people. I'm looking at infinity like that's old. So that's that. Look, everyone started from zero. Everyone, Gary, you, me, and Nick, everyone started from zero. No one's got 1 million followers by accident. So research. Like I said, before I made any YouTube videos, before I posted any YouTube videos, I made loads. So make videos if that's what you want to do. If your thing is once a week and you do like an hour video, do it. See how it goes for a couple of months. There's no rush. Like people are worried about, this platform and that. Don't worry about monetization. Don't worry about ad revenue. If you're building a business off the back of your channel, you don't care about a few pennies. I've earned £8 from my YouTube channel since starting it in May. I don't drink coffee. I'll probably buy a burger or something with it, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the don't rush thing is very, very important because these platforms aren't going anywhere. It takes about 5 years for a platform to really start tanking. It's kind of worrying about some of them, but that's another topic. Yep. So I guess like for older people, it's like the advantage that comes from being older is experience. A lot of these young people out here, they're entitled. And they feel like, I want to get something for nothing really quickly. When you're a bit older, you're a bit more well-versed in the ways of the world. I was not. When I was a bit younger, I was expecting, I had my hands out. When you're older, you got the advantage over the youth who don't really know themselves. When you're older, especially if you're doing something like this, you know yourself and you can express yourself authentically. The following will come with consistency and authenticity. If I started posting videos about what was popular, or if I looked at other people in the personal development space and go, he just made a video about that, let me do that. That's gonna, you got a short-term little burst. But the people who followed you for that, they might watch your next video and be like, that's not what I followed you for, so I'm going off. The people who follow you for you are gonna stick around. That's why I encourage people to I'm just expressing myself. I swear a lot. Some people don't like it, man. I'm trying really hard right now to keep a lid on it.
Done really well.
Thank you. I think that, you need to be you and be prepared to leave money on the table in the short run. My focus is not money right now.
Okay, but what if someone's a bit of a technophobe? What can they do to go, right, I have something to express. I have no problem with expressing it. How would you get them up and running quickly?
I think this comes down to what's your goal for the channel? If you want to grow a massive following,
whether that's blog or
whether YouTube, it's a blog, YouTube, podcast, anything. If you want to grow a massive awareness, you have to be authentic. Otherwise, you can't keep up the fake persona. You can't do it, and it's going to drive you nuts. Then you want to, technophobe. I didn't know how to start a podcast. I didn't know about syncing audio. I didn't know about sound engineering. My brother's a music producer. He didn't have time to teach me. He's got stuff to do.
Yeah, and you don't even have to do that. I think you've got a certain, you've picked up amassed a certain amount of knowledge.
Yeah.
I think just someone who started to kind of build a YouTube following myself for Animas, I think YouTube and Google itself is the answer. You can find anything. Like I always say this, YouTube's your friend. If you want to find something out now, everything that's ever been recorded is online. So you hear the word podcast and people's like, oh my God, I need a microphone, I need this, I need audience, I need blah, blah, blah. Don't need that. You just need yourself, a laptop, and a phone, and maybe a pair of headphones to record your thoughts. There's a platform now called Anchor. Anchor.
Yeah, love it.
That's a project that I was meant to carry on for Nick, but I haven't started yet. But yeah, Anchor's like you can record straight to your phone, and you've got a podcast. And I guess the overarching thing here is that people will resonate with your stuff, won't they? If you're putting out your authentic you, people will resonate, and you'll slowly build that audience. People are just impatient, aren't they?
Well, I think it's that too, but also it can be, to get kicked in the nuts every single day for 9 years, 10 years while you're trying to build this thing. And by that, I mean, it's hard. In the beginning, no one cared about my blog. And in a world where you're being swamped with content constantly, it's difficult to remain relevant if you're not posting daily. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You could post my friend Karen Kilbane on Medium. She's got like 50,000 followers. She posts once, maybe a month or every 2 weeks, an essay, and a proper essay.
Long content,
well thought out, well produced. Everything is in there. And in the comment section, she gets a lot of engagement, a lot of people resonating. She works with children with special needs. I had her on my podcast. And it was a beautiful thing to see that she's not in a rush. And that's the most important thing. Being in a rush, the tortoise and the hare, right? I'm taking the tortoise approach, but with the hare mentality I'm going for this thing. I can already see it. This is where my law of attraction practice comes in every single day.
And the micro.
Right, you know what I'm talking about. We all know this Gary speech, but for people who are not necessarily well versed in that, I guess the main thing is if you're doing it with genuine intent, you can do it every day or every week or whatever your thing is. If you're not doing it with the thought of okay, I'm just expressing myself and later on the thing will come. This is the concept of deferred gratification. People love to bag on millennials about, oh, you're entitled and stuff. Yeah, I was. Let's not lie. Let's hold our hands up. A lot of us have been entitled. Whether you feel like you're entitled to your partner's love or, a good body or whatever, you got to work for it. And if you don't, things are going to start to tank. So what I realized was the reason I took a big break was because I saw it I'm not doing this for the right reasons. I built up to 10,000 followers. I've got all of these videos and stuff, but I'm getting anxious when I think about, oh my God, I got to post a video today. The difference between then and now is I want to post it and I don't feel the pressure to, oh my God, I have to do it. I feel like I get to do it if I want to. And I always want to because this is my life. This is the things that I'm building my life around. I feel like if you build this content production into your life as a daily practice for you, if it's serving you, if it's part of your self-care routine or whatever you want to call it, that's how you get to those levels of success.
It's really weird. There's two things I want to touch on there. The first one is that nostalgia factor. I went through a period of just completely resenting Facebook. It's just they're just a big marketing tool. They just want money from us, trying to monetize everything. It's invasive. It's intrusive. It's it's the Antichrist. And then they started doing this. Congratulations! 7 years ago, you was doing this, or you got this, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I remember what it was like 10 years ago to be here. I remember what my thoughts were in that moment. I remember how I was feeling, and it's quite cool. And there's certain elements of being a social media platform coming back into social media. I feel like they're being a lot more aware. It's like anything, really. It's you've got to manage it. It can become one of your neuroses, one of your neurotic habits. To always be on it. And I do have that, and I do believe in the whole dopamine hit, and I get very much pulled into that. That's the first thing I wanted to cover. The second thing was the value in different types of content. So you got we spoke about today, Nick and I, with our new marketing team that we're building, is that there's space for long content, there's space for kind of shorter, more regular content, and quick content. It could be a 3-minute thought, your reflection of your day or something that you read. It can be a blog post in the medium term, or it can be a long piece or an hour-long, 2-hour-long podcast. There are different people that they consume different materials. Yep. And that's really, really valuable. And that's something I aim to do with Animas is create that different tools and different content for different people.
Yeah, 100%. And each platform is different. I can't post a 15-second clip on YouTube most people are not going to watch it. But on Instagram, it does very well.
Yeah.
So we got to be native to the platform, respect the platform, and respect the person's attention. I have to stress that because people take, people are taking advantage, like not even taking, they're taking it like not, seriously is the wrong word. They're not respecting the platform. You can't throw up your thoughts on, I don't know, eggs for like 68 minutes on a platform where people are expecting 7-minute videos.
Right.
And you can, and you might build a following over like 10 years, but it's going to take a long time. Whereas if you put that into a podcast, people probably listen and they want to consume that. So I think definitely like knowing your thing, where, I do like the clips for Instagram. It's just me cutting up my videos after I finished editing it. Whack like 6-7 clips on my phone, post them regularly throughout the day. I also post my blog posts to Instagram. People repost them. There's just, I think the best thing to do is like before you start, take a massive step back and just observe. And don't go into it with, I'll just try and see what happens. Look at people who are doing it, see what's worked for them, and ask yourself, could I do that? I looked at a lot of the people and I was like, I'm already feeling it. But then I saw like, people are doing the clip thing. I like that. Started off with 1-minute clips. No one's got time for a minute when you're on Instagram because it's instant. 5 to 15 seconds max.
Right.
And see how that works for you. And I've seen my social media following grow because I started respecting the platform a lot more instead of just, people will follow me because I'm posting this original stuff. You might be, but people aren't going to want to consume that much in a platform that is giving like...
Yeah, I agree. It's about having as many touch points as possible. Let's say you're a coach and you're trying to build your awareness for your coaching practice or business. It's about trialing all the platforms and having as many touch points as you can. Now, what I'm finding, it's really hard to make 100% focus on all of them. So maybe you pick 2 of them and go all in at those, but just be present in other areas.
Yeah.
A good tool for that would be, as you start to build up a content bank. A lot of people don't like to be connected all the time. So I'd recommend something like Hootsuite, where when I was getting really stressed out with social media, I was just on it all the time. What I was doing to kind of minimize that stress was build up my content throughout the week. So I would, as I was going about the world, reading my blogs, seeing Instagram posts and stuff like that, and infographics, is have my Dropbox linked from my phone to my laptop. And then what I do on a Sunday night, I would get all the content, all the things that inspired me throughout the week that was relevant to whatever my agenda was, and then post it through Hootsuite to stagger it through the week. So all you're doing then is you're dealing with the comments and the shares and the likes and the fun part of it, the engagement, and not the actual uploading. What can I write? There's ways to minimize it. A lot of people get put off by social media and think it's going to consume my life. It has done that for me at times.
I think it has
for
a lot of
people.
us. Yeah, definitely. Me included.
There's ways around it though.
Yeah. I like the idea of Hootsuite. Me personally, I like writing and I like to test myself. Like every time I post a lot every day. So every time I'm posting something, I'm like, ooh, how can I summarize this? Because that's going to help me with upcoming projects that I've got.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to wrap this up now, Sachin. Where can people find you? And I know you're always open for conversation and a question and stuff like that. So where can people find you?
Just Google Spoon of Consciousness and you'll find stuff that I've done. And I would just like to encourage everyone, like, don't look at what I'm doing as the benchmark for what you need to do. This is just what works for me. I've cut off like all leisure because this is now my leisure, and that's what works for me.
You're in flow and in tune, on track with what you.
And if you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. Like we were saying, blurring the lines between work and play. That's what I'm in it for.
Yeah, for sure. Sachin, thanks, man.
Thanks for inviting me.